Shmai and welcome to Digital School Wales. Now in this video lesson we're going to be learning how to use j2code visual through Just2easy to create a simple bat and ball game like this. j2code visual within Just2easy is absolutely fantastic and I love it. Now, one of the main things that I love about it is the fact that your pupils can save their work easily into their My Files on Just2easy without having to go and create user accounts on a website like Scratch. Now, this video lesson is going to teach your pupils some really nice easy coding skills. If you enjoy this activity, then you will love the Coding 1 activity pack from Digital School Wales. The Coding 1 activity pack contains 2 activities split over an hour and a half's worth of video lessons. Now, if you'd like a free sample of the first video lesson, that's all you need to do is click on the link under this video or visit the URL at the bottom of the screen right now and you'll get access to the coding pack where you can see the first video and see what else is available. Right then, let's get on with this bat and ball game. On J2 launch, click on the j2code tile, or if you're like me and you have trouble finding it, click on the j2code link on the ribbon at the top of the page. This will open the j2code homepage, and on the j2code homepage, you're going to click on Visual. And here we are in j2code Visual. The program that we're going to build is going to show in this window on the left. We're going to build the code on the right-hand side over here, and all our characters are going to be lined up on separate tabs across the top here. And for each character, at the moment we're looking at Sprite 1, we've got 2 important tabs. The first one is for our code, and the second one is for the costume, which at the moment is this confused looking penguin here. So we're going to swap that penguin for a tennis ball. So to do that, make sure you're on the penguin tab here, the costumes tab, and click on the little button where you've got a penguin with a plus sign. On the window that appears, click on web search on the left hand side and then type in the search tennis ball. Hit enter and then choose one of the photos which shows a tennis ball on a plain background. So I'm going to go for this one here. So click on it and then once you're happy, click OK. And that then will swap our penguin out for a tennis ball, as you can see there. So it's always important to keep your sprites labeled correctly. So instead of Sprite 1, I'm going to rename that by clicking on this drop down and choosing rename, and I'm going to call this ball and click OK. OK then. Let's give this ball some code. So to give the ball some code, we need to click on the code tab, which is next door to the costumes tab. So I'm going to click on the code tab. Now then, your code libraries may look a little different to mine. And if they do, you need to make sure you're on the level 3 code, which gives you more options. So to do that, click on this little drop down here and make sure that you've selected level 3. So what do we want the ball to do? Well, first of all, we want the ball to bounce up and down on the screen on its own. So bouncing is obviously moving. So let's have a look in the motion code library. So click on the motion code library, this dark blue up at the top, and you'll see then that you've got a lot of different blocks of code, and we want the 5th one down, this one, move forward by 100, and if on the edge, bounce. So I'm going to click on that and drag it onto my scripting window. So that's this big white page here where we can connect blocks together and make some code. Right, let's see if that does anything for our game. So to see our game in full screen, we can click on this button here. So I'm going to click on that. And then to start the game, I'm going to click on the go button. So here I go, click. Okay. Well, the ball did move, but it's not doing what I want it to do. So let's stop the game and click on the minimize here so that we can see what's going on. Now then, did the ball move forward by 100 steps? And if it was on the edge, bounce? Well, yes, it did, because it didn't bounce because it wasn't on the edge. And it did move forward, And we've only asked it to move forward once. So obviously we want it to keep on moving forward all the time. Now you'll need to do this a lot when you're coding. If you want a sprite to do something over and over again, you need to go into the control code library, and in there you'll see a special block of code, the third one down, which says forever do. Now then, can you see that it's shaped differently? I can put other blocks of code inside this block of code, and it'll then loop around and do whatever is inside this loop over and over again. So let's grab our move forward block and drag it inside our forever do block. Now can you see when I bring it near, the top part of the opening glows. It's telling me that I can drop that and it'll fit inside. Okay, let's try this out now. Let's go back to full screen, click on play. So the ball is moving forward and it keeps on moving forward. And if it's on the edge, it bounces and goes back the other way. Great, that's much better. Stop the game and go back to our scripting view. Now, did you notice that the animation isn't particularly smooth? It's quite laggy, quite jumpy. That's for two different reasons. The first reason is that the ball is taking really big steps. It's jumping 100 pixels at a time. So let's get the ball to take smaller steps. So double click in here and let's change that to a smaller number. Let's say 40 steps, 40 pixels instead of 100. Now if I play the game, the animation does look a little bit better, but it's still quite slow. In fact, it's painfully slow. So what we need to do is adjust the frames per second, the frame rate. And we can do that by adjusting this slider here at the bottom of your window. Now, if I slide that to the right, you can see that I'm increasing the frame rate. And by doing that, the ball obviously moves faster, but it also creates a much slicker, much smoother animation. I'm going to leave mine about halfway, and I'd suggest that you do the same as well. I think that's going to give us the best results. Okay, let's stop the game. And I think it's time for us to add a background, because this white screen in the background isn't particularly fun, is it? So to add another character, and the background is a character, we're going to click on this plus button here. Next door to our ball tab, we're going to add another character. And it calls it Sprite1. And again, we're going to click on the penguin tab here. And again, we're going to click on the penguin plus button to add a new costume. Now this time, we're not going to web search. We're going to scroll down to the bottom of the categories to the backgrounds category. And I'm just going to choose this cloudy sky here. That'll do for now. And click OK. Feel free to browse the other backgrounds and choose whatever you want. Now, because it's a background, it's automatically put it to the left because we see all of these sprites in order, and whatever is to the left is behind whatever is to the right. So if our background was to the right of the ball, we wouldn't be able to see the ball at all because the background obviously fills the screen. Let's change the name of Sprite1 to background. Click on the drop down, choose rename and type background and click OK. Well, now it's time for us to get our bat in there, our racket. So we're once again going to click on the plus to add another sprite. And this time we're going to web search. So I'm going to click on the costumes tab. Again, I'm going to click on the add new costume button and I'm going to go into web search. Now, I want this kind of flat bat kind of thing that you see on games like Breakout. And the closest thing I've been able to find to that is if I actually search for a minus symbol. So if I just type in minus, click enter. Now you can scroll through the different results that come up, but this is exactly the kind of thing I want. Okay, so I'm going to click on that and then click OK. And that's going to swap that new penguin for this, my bat, my paddle. Let's rename this. So I'm going to click on the drop down here, choose rename, and we're going to call this a paddle. Click OK. Now to play this game, the paddle is going to follow wherever I place the mouse pointer. Now at the moment, it's not going to do that at all, of course, because here's the paddle's code. It's absolutely empty. We haven't given the paddle any code at all. The ball has got this code, and that's always going to be there. So let's give the paddle some code. Now the code for the paddle is pretty simple. In the motion tab, there's a block there that says go to mouse pointer. So we're going to bring that in. Now, of course, if I play the game, paddle, where's it gone? It's disappeared. Now, the reason it's disappeared is that it's gone to the mouse pointer once. It's not doing it forever because we're not using a forever loop. Now, actually, the paddle is there. Do you see that little shadow right there? It's because the mouse pointer was clicking play and it moved there and now it's stuck there. Okay, so I'll stop the game and it's going to go back to the beginning. Let's try that again and I'm going to click right there we go. Can you see? And it's not moving anymore. So we need to put that code that tells the paddle to go to wherever the mouse pointer is in a forever loop. Now I'm sure you remember how to do that. So why don't you try doing that now whilst I'm talking to you? And if you can't remember, don't worry, I'll show you in a little bit. I really hope you're enjoying the activity so far. If you are, then why not give the like button a little boop for me? And teachers, why not subscribe to the YouTube channel and maybe follow the Facebook page as well, Digital School Wales. Okay, back we go. Now then, let's go into the control code library and we want this block again, forever do. Well done to those of you who remember how to do that. And of course, our go-to mouse pointer block needs to go inside. Let's try it out. Let's click on play. There we are. My paddle is following the mouse around. Ball's bouncing happily. What happens when the ball touches the paddle? Absolutely nothing. Because, of course, we haven't told it to do anything. We haven't coded any kind of relationship between the ball and the paddle yet. So let's do that now. Now we're going to give this code to the ball because what we want the ball to do is, if the ball touches the paddle, we want the ball to bounce away on a new direction, on a new angle, at a new angle. So make sure now that you move over to the ball. We're not going to give the paddle this code because the paddle is moving with the mouse pointer. Make sure that you're on the ball tab here and we're going to add some code to this code we've already got. Now let's find first of all the touching paddle. Now that's going to come under touching is one of our senses. So it's going to come under this sensing code library. And you can see here touching mouse pointer. Let's bring that in. And I can change the mouse pointer here to paddle. So when the ball touches the paddle, we want the ball to choose a new direction. So direction is going to come under our motion code library. You can see there the third block down, set direction to 0. So when the ball touches the paddle, at the moment, this would set the direction to 0. But 0 is the direction it's already moving in, which is straight ahead, straight up in this case. So let's throw this little green block in the bin. So grab it and drop it in the bin at the bottom of your screen. And we're going to find a different green block to connect to this set direction to block. Now the green blocks obviously come under this green operators code library. So if you click on that, you want to scroll down and nearly at the bottom, there's a block called random integer from 1 to 100. Integer is just a posh word for a whole number. So I'm going to click that and add it. You see it joined together like a jigsaw piece. So set direction to random integer from 1 to 100. Now to help you out, I'm going to give you this range. And the range we're going to use for this little game is -80 to 80. And just type those numbers in. And that's going to give us the bounce of the ball. Roughly, it'll be able to bounce in any direction from about this direction all the way around to this direction. Now we don't want it to be able to bounce at 90 degrees, which is all the way to the left or all the way to the right. And we certainly don't want the ball to bounce through the paddle. These blocks aren't connected at the moment, are they? And we need to get these to kind of work together because what we want the ball to do is to do this if this is happening. So to do that, we need to go back into the control library, and you'll see near the bottom this special block with a star on it. If something, do something. You can see it's got different shaped connectors. This connector looks like a jigsaw piece, and this connector looks like our loop block that we've used a few times already. Now you can see that our two blocks up here are going to fit into this block really well. If the ball is touching the paddle, do this. Change direction to a random number between -80 and 80. Now, we want the ball to always check this. So let's put this whole loop inside this loop. And now you can see that the ball is forever going to move forward, and if it's on the edge, it's going to bounce. But if it touches the paddle, it's going to set a new direction and bounce away from the paddle. Okay, let's give it a whirl. Full screen, ball's bouncing, here comes the paddle, and it's chosen a new direction. And there we are, and you can see that every time it bounces, it chooses a random direction. It's not bouncing the same. It's not bouncing the same way. It's choosing a different direction every time. Now make sure you save that into your My Code by clicking on Save, and let's call that Ball and Paddle, and click Save. Okay, there we are, llongyfarchiadau. Congratulations, you have completed this bat and ball coding activity. Now, if you've enjoyed this, then of course you're going to love the Coding 1 activity pack as well. And if you'd like a free sample of that, then that's all you need to do is click on the link under the video or follow the URL to get that first coding video from the pack totally for free. As ever, thank you very much for your time, and thanks for following along with this video lesson, and I hope I see you again in the next one.